It's like saying Baltasar today, Baltasar tomorrow, Baltasar all the time. You know? So all this while, there are people coming out now. People are coming out to narrate their story. What happened? I mean, some men are coming out to narrate their stories, how their women came across or what transpired between their women or their wives and Baltasar Ebang Engoga. We all heard about this story sometime ago. How one man, how this Baltasar Engoga, I mean the Director General of Taxation in Equatorial Guinea, how he made a video, I mean over 400 videos of of his nice time, of his special time that he was having with different women, married or unmarried. Origin is what we don't know, but we think that man is somebody who can also be called a champion, because that man, the man can do things that, I think he did what Napoleon left undone. Well, that was him. Well, in this video, I'm going to dive again. I'm going to share with you again another story of how one of the victim husbands, the man said that he has divorced with the wife. They have separated or something like that. So I'm going to allow you watch his story, how he narrated his story. Yes, what happened, what transpired between his wife and Baltasar Ebang Engoga. I would just want you to stay tuned, please. While you are watching this one, do not hesitate to sit and drop us your comment in the comment section, because. And if it's your first time coming across our page, do not forget, do us a favor by just hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell as well. So this story that I'm going to share with you is about a man whose wife was a victim, who was one of Baltasar's victims. Yeah, the man narrated a lot in this video. He explained how his wife came closer to Baltasar, how he asked his wife, he confronted his wife, asked, tried to find out, and the wife said nothing was happening, only for him to come and see later videos and all those things. I will not go far. I will allow you guys to sit and watch this video. Please try to watch the video to the end and find out what happened. So take care. Watch the video right now.
This man you see is one of the men whose wives slept with Baltasar Engoga. Recently, this man revealed how his wife cheated on him and how he reacted after seeing videos of his wife sleeping with Baltasar.
I just discovered something that shattered me to my core. My wife, someone I trusted with my whole heart, has been unfaithful. She's been cheating on me with a man named Baltasar Engoga, and to make matters worse, they recorded their encounters. These videos have now gone viral online. I feel humiliated, betrayed, and completely broken. I'm trying to process this overwhelming situation, but the pain is suffocating. I never imagined this would happen in my life, let alone have it publicly displayed for everyone to see. The trust one thought was unshakable has been destroyed. Right now, I need time to figure out what steps to take. This isn't just about the betrayal, it's also about my dignity and moving forward. It started with subtle changes in her behavior, coming home late, being secretive with her phone, and seeming distant. I dismissed it at first, thinking maybe it was stress or something she didn't want to burden me with. But the signs became harder to ignore. One evening, I noticed her phone buzzing constantly while she was in the shower. I couldn't resist the urge to look. The messages were from someone named Baltasar Engoga, someone I had never heard of. They were explicit, filled with plans to meet up and references to moments they had shared. My hands shook as I read them, disbelief washing over me. I confronted her that night, but she denied it, claiming he was just a friend. However, I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that there was more to the story. A few days later, everything exploded when a friend sent me a link. The link led to a website where videos of her and Baltasar had been uploaded. The clips were explicit, leaving no room for doubt about their relationship. Worse, they had gone viral, and people I knew had seen them. The humiliation was unbearable. Family, friends, and even colleagues were reaching out, either offering their condolences or expressing their shock. I was drowning in embarrassment, unable to face anyone. My wife tried to explain, saying she had been lost and made a terrible mistake. But there were no words that could fix the damage done, not to me and not to our marriage. The videos were everywhere, shared across social media platforms, and there was no way to erase them. It felt like my private pain had become a public spectacle. People whispered about me, some mocking, others pitying. I became a meme, a joke to strangers who knew nothing about my life. The betrayal wasn't just between us anymore, it was something the whole world seemed to be involved in. I had to make a decision, stay and try to rebuild with someone who had not only cheated but exposed our lives to the public, or walk away and start over, even if it meant leaving behind the life I thought we were building together. It started with subtle changes in her behavior, coming home late, being secretive with her phone, and seeming distant. I dismissed it at first, thinking maybe it was stress or something she didn't want to burden me with. But the signs became harder to ignore. One evening, I noticed her phone buzzing constantly while she was in the shower. I couldn't resist the urge to look. The messages were from someone named Baltasar Engoga, someone I had never heard of. They were explicit, filled with plans to meet up and references to moments they had shared. My hands shook as I read them, disbelief washing over me. I confronted her that night, but she denied it, claiming he was just a friend. However, I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that there was more to the story. A few days later, everything exploded when a friend sent me a link. The link led to a website where videos of her and Baltasar had been uploaded. The clips were explicit, leaving no room for doubt about their relationship. Worse, they had gone viral, and people I knew had seen them. The humiliation was unbearable. Family, friends, and even colleagues were reaching out, either offering their condolences or expressing their shock. I was drowning in embarrassment, unable to face anyone. My wife tried to explain, saying she had been lost and made a terrible mistake. But there were no words that could fix the damage done, not to me and not to our marriage. The videos were everywhere, shared across social media platforms, and there was no way to erase them. It felt like my private pain had become a public spectacle. People whispered about me, some mocking, others pitying. I became a meme, a joke to strangers who knew nothing about my life. The betrayal wasn't just between us anymore, it was something the whole world seemed to be involved in. I had to make a decision, stay and try to rebuild with someone who had not only cheated but exposed our lives to the public, or walk away and start over, even if it meant leaving behind the life I thought we were building together. The tipping point came when my family got involved. My parents, a deeply traditional and private people, were devastated. My father could barely look me in the eye, and my mother cried for days, blaming herself for not teaching me to choose better. Friends either distanced themselves or offered hollow words of support that did nothing to soothe the storm in my heart. I had to make a choice, let this situation destroy me or take back control of my life. The first step was confronting the public humiliation. I released a statement on social media, addressing the situation head-on. I admitted my pain but refused to let this define me. I also filed a lawsuit against Baltasar for distributing the videos without consent. While my wife had betrayed me, his actions of making our private moments public were not only malicious but illegal. The legal battle gave me a sense of purpose, a way to fight back against the tidal wave of shame. As for my wife, we separated. I needed space to figure out what my future looked like without her. Trust, once broken, is almost impossible to rebuild, and I wasn't sure I wanted to try. In the days following the discovery, I felt trapped in a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Every time I logged into social media, there were new posts, comments, or memes about the videos. Strangers debated my life as if it was some kind of reality show, and every notification felt like a punch to the gut. I confronted her again, demanding the truth this time. How long had this been going on? Why did she do it? She broke down in tears, saying it started a few months ago when she met Baltasar at a work event. He had charmed her, made her feel alive in ways she claimed I hadn't in years. It wasn't just physical for her, it was emotional too, and that hurt even more. I couldn't believe her audacity when she tried to shift some of the blame onto me, saying I had become distant, too focused on work, and inattentive to her needs. While I acknowledged I might not have been perfect, nothing could justify her betrayal. I had always been loyal, always worked hard to provide for us, and always loved her. Then there was Baltasar. I tracked him down online. He was a flashy, self-absorbed man who reveled in the attention the videos were getting. He had posted cryptic captions under the clips, clearly enjoying the chaos he caused. He didn't care about the damage he had done to my life, he was basking in his 15 minutes of fame. I thought about confronting him in person, but what would that accomplish? Fighting him wouldn't erase the videos or fix my shattered marriage. Still, the anger boiled inside me every time I saw his smug face. As the separation became public knowledge, the internet had a field day. Some people sympathized with me, offering words of encouragement, while others mocked me further, saying I should have seen it coming or questioning my masculinity. It was difficult to tune it all out, but I decided to focus on rebuilding my life, one step at a time. The lawsuit against Baltasar gained traction. It turned out that his history wasn't as spotless as he wanted people to believe. He had a pattern of exploiting women and using their private moments for personal gain. My case shed light on his predatory behavior, and other victims began to come forward. It wasn't just about me anymore, it became a fight for justice for everyone he had wronged. Meanwhile, I threw myself into therapy. The betrayal had left deep scars, and I knew I couldn't heal alone. My therapist helped me process the anger, shame, and grief I felt, guiding me to focus on what I could control. Slowly, I started to rediscover myself outside the shadow of this scandal. Friends I hadn't spoken to in years reached out, offering their support. These were people who knew me before the marriage, before the heartbreak, and they reminded me of the person I used to be. I reconnected with hobbies I had abandoned, playing guitar, hiking, and writing. These small acts of self-care became my lifeline. Professionally, things were rocky at first. The scandal had affected my reputation, but over time, I turned it into a story of resilience. I began sharing my journey, not as a victim but as someone who had faced unimaginable humiliation and found a way to rise above it. I was invited to speak at events about overcoming public shame and rebuilding one's life. As for my wife, our divorce was finalized quietly. She tried to reach out a few times, apologizing and asking for another chance, but I couldn't go back. The trust was gone, and every time I looked at her, I saw the betrayal and the public humiliation that came with it. Baltasar's case ended in a guilty verdict. He was ordered to pay significant damages and faced criminal charges for the distribution of private content. Seeing him face consequences brought a sense of closure, though the scars of what he did would never fully disappear. Eventually, I moved to a new city to start fresh. Away from the whispers and the stares, I found a chance to rebuild. I met new people who didn't know me as the guy from the scandal, but simply as me. Over time, I started dating again, cautiously opening my heart to the idea of love. The experience taught me painful but valuable lessons about trust, resilience, and self-worth. While I wouldn't wish it on anyone, I came out stronger, more self-aware, and determined never to let anyone define my life but me. Looking back, I can see how the cracks in our marriage slowly formed, though I didn't recognize them at the time. It's hard to admit, but maybe I took her for granted. I thought we were solid, that our love could weather anything, but over the years, the small, unspoken gaps between us grew wider. She started withdrawing, little by little. At first, it was subtle, coming home later than usual, spending more time on her phone, her laughter feeling forced when we were together. I chalked it up to stress from work or the pressures of life, but I should have paid closer attention. The truth is, I was distracted too. I was chasing career goals, trying to provide a better life for us, and I thought that would be enough. Then came Baltasar Engoga. He entered her life at a work event, a charming, confident man who seemed to command attention wherever he went. I imagine he said all the right things, made her feel special in ways I hadn't in a long time. Maybe it started innocently, the conversation here, the laugh there. But it didn't take long for their relationship to grow into something more. I can only imagine what drew her to him. He was exciting, spontaneous, and unburdened by the responsibilities of our life together. Where I was steady and focused, he was carefree and intoxicating. She told me later that he made her feel alive, a word that still stings every time I think about it. At first, she tried to hide it, telling me she had late meetings or plans with friends. I wanted to believe her. I ignored the warning signs, the way she became defensive when I asked questions or the way her phone was suddenly always out of reach. I trusted her. I loved her. I didn't want to see what was right in front of me. Then came the discovery. It wasn't even her who slipped up, it was the internet. A friend sent me a message one evening with a link asking if I was okay. Confused, I clicked it, and there they were, my wife and Baltasar, in videos that left nothing to the imagination. They weren't just having an affair, they were recording it. And those recordings had gone viral. The room spun. My chest tightened. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the public humiliation. Strangers were commenting on my life, sharing those videos, and laughing at my pain. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing with messages from friends, family, and even colleagues who had seen the clips. When I confronted her, she broke down in tears. She admitted everything, the affair, the lies, the videos. She said she never meant for it to go this far, that she felt lonely and disconnected, that Baltasar made her feel something she thought she'd lost. She begged for forgiveness, but her words felt hollow. How could I ever trust her again after what she'd done? Baltasar, on the other hand, reveled in the chaos. He seemed to enjoy the attention, posting cryptic messages on social media and acting as if he were untouchable. He didn't care about the destruction he'd caused, not to my marriage, not to my life. The fallout was unbearable. Friends didn't know what to say, so many of them said nothing at all. My family was devastated, blaming themselves for not seeing the signs or for not warning me about her. At work, whispers followed me down the hall. The internet had turned my private pain into a public spectacle, and I felt like I couldn't escape it. Eventually, I made the hardest decision of my life, I ended the marriage. There was no going back after something like this. The trust was gone, the love tainted by betrayal and humiliation. She tried to make amends, saying she'd do anything to fix things, but it was too late. I filed a lawsuit against Baltasar for distributing the videos without consent. It wasn't just about justice, it was about reclaiming some sense of dignity. The legal battle was long and grueling, but in the end, he was held accountable. It didn't erase the damage, but it gave me a small sense of closure. I moved to a new city after the divorce, needing a fresh start away from the whispers and the memories. I threw myself into therapy, learning to process the pain and rebuild my life. Slowly, I began to heal. I reconnected with old friends, picked up hobbies I'd abandoned, and started focusing on myself for the first time in years. In time, I learned to trust again, though cautiously. I began dating, but this time, I set boundaries and communicated my needs openly. I realized that while her actions were her choice, I also had to take responsibility for the ways I had neglected our relationship. The experience changed me forever. It taught me the importance of communication, of being present, and of never taking love for granted. But it also showed me my own strength, that even in the face of betrayal and public humiliation, I could rise above it and find a way to move forward. Would you like to continue exploring the aftermath or dive deeper into the character's healing journey? After everything that had happened, the lies, the affair, and the viral videos, it became clear that our marriage was irreparably broken. The love I once felt was overshadowed by pain, anger, and humiliation. I knew I couldn't continue living like this, pretending things could ever go back to the way they were. One evening, after the initial storm had somewhat settled, I sat her down for a serious conversation. She had been apologetic, begging for forgiveness, and promising to change. But words felt empty when the damage was so profound. I can't do this anymore, I told her, my voice steady but heavy with emotion. What you've done, it destroyed the trust, the foundation of everything we built together. I loved you, but this isn't something we can come back from. She broke down in tears, trying to convince me to give her another chance, but my decision was firm. It wasn't about punishing her, it was about protecting myself and acknowledging that some things, once broken, can never be repaired. I filed for divorce shortly after. The process was painful, dragging out old memories and forcing us to divide the life we had built together. It had to let go of what we once had, but staying together would have only prolonged the suffering. After the divorce, my wife moved out of our home. Initially, she stayed with a close friend, someone who had been supportive of her during the fallout. I imagine she needed a place to process everything, her guilt, the loss of our marriage, and the public backlash. From what I've heard through mutual acquaintances, she eventually rented a small apartment in the city. She's still working at the same company, though things haven't been easy for her either. The scandal followed her there, and while she wasn't fired, her reputation took a massive hit. She's tried to rebuild her life, much like I have. I heard she sought therapy to understand her actions and the choices that led to the affair. Occasionally, she's reached out to apologize or check in, but I've kept my distance. Moving on means creating space, and I needed that to heal. As far as I know, she's living quietly now, avoiding the spotlight that once consumed us both. Whether she's found peace or is still grappling with her mistakes, I can't say for sure. All I know is that our paths have diverged completely, and I'm focused on my own journey forward. As time passed, the weight of her presence in my life gradually began to lift. While the pain of betrayal lingered, I found that distancing myself from her completely was the only way to truly move forward. She seemed to accept that. After the divorce was finalized, her attempts to reach out dwindled, and I began to hear less and less about her. From what mutual friends told me, she kept a low profile, choosing to avoid the social circles we once shared. I heard she threw herself into work, but the scandal had left its mark there too. Her colleagues whispered about her behind closed doors, and her relationships in the workplace were strained. Once, months after the divorce, I ran into her unexpectedly at a coffee shop. She looked different. She had the same face I had loved for years, but there was a weariness in her eyes, a visible weight she carried. She hesitated when she saw me, as if she wanted to say something, but I simply nodded politely and walked away. That brief encounter confirmed what I had known deep down: we were strangers now. For me, the turning point came when I decided to embrace a fresh start. I moved to a new city, far enough away that I could rebuild my life without the shadows of the past looming over me. I joined a local hiking group, rediscovered my love for writing, and even started volunteering at a community center. These small acts of rebuilding weren't just distractions, they were reminders that life could still be meaningful and full of possibility. Over time, the public chatter about the scandal faded. The internet, as ruthless as it can be, eventually moved on to other stories, other victims of its relentless gaze. The people who mattered, the ones who stayed by my side through it all, helped me see that I was more than the sum of what had happened to me. As for her, the last I heard was through a mutual friend. She had started dating someone new, though the relationship seemed cautious, tentative. Maybe she was trying to find her own path to redemption, or maybe she was still searching for something she couldn't define. Either way, her life was no longer my concern. I've come to terms with the fact that not every story gets a perfect ending. Sometimes, the best you can hope for is a chance to start over, to take the lessons from the pain and build something stronger. I'm not the same person I was before the betrayal, but I think that's a good thing. I've grown, I've learned, and I've found a resilience I didn't know I had. The road ahead feels uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, it also feels hopeful. After everything that happened, the idea of finding another woman feels complicated. Trust doesn't come easily now, and the wounds from my last relationship are still healing. But I've come to realize that life moves forward, and with time, so do I. I'm not actively searching for someone right now. My focus has been on rebuilding my own life, getting to know myself again, setting new goals, then finding happiness on my own terms. But I won't rule out the possibility of meeting someone new. If I do find another partner, it'll happen naturally, without forcing anything. I'll be more cautious this time, more intentional about communication and building a strong foundation of trust. I've learned the importance of understanding each other's needs and addressing problems before they grow into unspoken resentments. So yes, while I'm not actively looking, I'm open to the idea of love again someday. But this time, it'll be different. This time, I'll make sure it's with someone who values honesty and loyalty as much as I do. If I were to meet Baltasar Engoga face to face after everything he did, I imagine the encounter would be a test of my self-control and personal growth. I'd look him straight in the eyes, keeping my voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside me. Baltasar, I'd say, you destroyed a marriage, not just through the affair, but by making it public, humiliating me and exploiting my trust. You might think what you did makes you powerful or clever, but it doesn't. It shows weakness, an inability to respect boundaries, and an emptiness you tried to fill by tearing others down. I'd take a deep breath, refusing to let anger consume me. What you did speaks volumes about the kind of person you are, but it doesn't define me. You may have caused pain, but I've learned, I've grown, and I've moved forward. I'm stronger now, not because of you, but in spite of you. I'd step back, looking him over one last time. I won't waste another moment on you. People like you thrive on attention, but you'll get none from me anymore. I hope someday you learn what real strength and respect look like. And then, I'd walk away. Because at the end of the day, engaging with someone like Baltasar isn't worth my peace or energy. I've made the decision to pursue legal action against Baltasar Engoga. This isn't just about the affair itself, it's about accountability for the pain and disruption he has caused in my life and my marriage. When I walked into my own home and saw what I saw, it wasn't just betrayal, it was a complete violation of trust and respect. My wife and I had our issues, like any couple, but what Baltasar did was a conscious choice to interfere in someone else's relationship. He knew she was married, and yet he decided to cross that line. I've consulted with my legal team, and while adultery isn't a criminal offense here, there are avenues to seek justice. I've chosen to sue him for emotional distress and alienation of affection. This is about holding him accountable for the role he played in destroying my family. I want to be clear, my decision to take him to court isn't out of vengeance. It's about setting a precedent that actions have consequences. People need to understand that their choices affect others, sometimes irreparably. At the same time, I am focusing on rebuilding my own life. The legal process is one step in that journey. Whether it's through a settlement or a court ruling, I'm determined to walk away from this with my dignity intact and a clear message that betrayal like this won't go unchecked.
You just listen to how the guy or this man explained all his story. He has explained all his story, what transpired between his wife and Baltasar. So it's a very, very sad story. And I mean, he decided that he's going to make a lawsuit against Baltasar, even though he knows that something like that may not even happen in that place, but he's going to do his best to do it. And you heard it all. I think him and his wife, they are now separated and all those things. So these are some of the things that are just like killing some people. You understand? So I think it is something good that we women try to respect. Some women try to respect, or I will not even say women, but wives should respect their relationships. Yes, it doesn't mean that if your man, you know that, okay, your man is not able anymore, or your man perhaps is having a problem that he cannot do well. Yeah, we understand that those situations are very, very difficult. Those situations are very, very difficult. But try to give your man that respect to at once. If you heard what the man is saying all those things with heavy heart. Even when some of his friends and collaborators, associates, they even knew about the whole thing. They started, some even did not even, it was as if somebody died, you understand? But that was not the case. Some were even, instead of sending him, a word of pity and all those things, they instead send him condolence messages. Condolence messages while his wife is still alive. You know what it means? You know what it means? Like, a situation happened, the person is still alive, but instead of people to send you words of pity, words of consolement and all those things, people are still sending you words of condolences. That is something that is very, very sad. If you saw the man, you saw the reaction of the man is with heavy heart. So these are certain things that normally they are touching. They are very, very touching. I think we as humans should all respect ourselves. We should all respect each and everyone's. Give the respect to where it's supposed to be given. We should not take somebody's leniency for granted. I have pity for this man, great pity for this guy. But it has happened the way it happens. Nobody can say any other thing. It has happened already. I think we just have to learn from this. So you who is watching this video, what can you say about this? You have just watched the video. You have listened to how the man explained the whole thing. Yes, you have listened to how the man explained the whole thing. So, what is your take? What can you say about this? With respect to this, what can you say? Because this is a story that I think we shall continue digging down deep to see how some people will come out to confess or to share their story, how they felt after the incident. But you who is now watching this, what is your take on how this man narrated his story? Please drop your comment in the comment section and let's see what happened. Thank you and see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.